Hello, everybody. Last time I talked about my schizophrenia that I got. Well, emotional, well, emotional disturbance is what it was. It still is. I like to call it that. Like I said, I'm trying to stop the stigma. I don't like the idea, just like many of us out there don't like the thing of saying mental illness. It makes us kind of look bad in everybody's life. I mean, whenever somebody does something that nobody can figure out, oh, they were just mental. No, the devil didn't make me do it. It was an emotional thing. There are people that have emotional breakdowns all the time, and they're not considered mental illness. They're emotional problem, emotional disturbance. Some of the people that are breaking down are manic that can go from highs and lows. Um, Lots of people that are seeking for depression or have high anxiety has its emotional breakdown, and it's not a mental disorder. It's just something that happens. You know, when you have a loved one die suddenly, somebody in the family is going to have an emotional breakdown, and you're not going to institutionalize them just because that happened. No, you got to gather around and help them through it. Well, lots of the people out there that's having an emotional breakdown get categorized as mental illness, when in truth it's not. It's just an emotional breakdown. Now, I don't want to go into all the other stuff right yet, as much as I want to go into the deep part of my emotional wellness, schizophrenia. Schizoaffecto is a term that they use for people that can go from highs and lows. But there's another part of it, schizophrenia. And this is the dark part. These are the ones with multiple personality disorder. Let me explain that to you. Within myself, there are more than, well, as far as I counted, 12 different personalities in me. And each one of them has schizophrenia at a different level, different way. And I have to deal with each one of them in multiple different ways of keeping myself into sanity. And you see all this stuff going on, it's because my air conditioner on right now. I want you to realize that when I was younger, and there's people in my family that's going to disagree with this, but I don't care if they disagree with it or not. It's going to be told. And I think the youngest I can remember was at the age of 3. I was raped over and over and over. And I think I can remember it ending by the time I was about 8 or 9 years old. I was either in the third or fourth grade. Well, I really didn't go to fourth grade. I went from third grade. I went to the fourth grade. Yeah, I did. To the fifth grade. And basically, that's when it's all started. But while this was going on, my mother had had an emotional breakdown. And several times she pointed her finger at me and said, I wish you were never born. Now, as a child, I didn't know how to deal with this. You see, I was undersized, underweight, with a speech impediment. So everybody picked on me, everybody made fun of me, everybody wanted to whoop my ass. I was from the poorest side of town in the poorest conditions, poorest way there was. My best friends were the characters I found on a grave in the graveyard on the gravestones. I talked to them. They listened to me. They showed me things. They talked to me. And every time somebody questioned me about it, I did change personality. I changed the way I was according to the situation that I needed. It's called adapting and overcoming. In doing so, I developed different personalities go along with this disorder of seeing and hearing things. Each one of them are developed at different times of my life. And so I had one doctor tell me that they didn't know how to treat me because every time they thought that they were treating me, they found out I was somebody else. See, I have multiple names, and I'm not going to go into it, but each one of the names, each one of the characteristics, and I could change it because you got three names, you can change it four different ways. Or lots of people say nine. No, there is more than that. Because when you start using periods or initials, stuff like that, you change your name. You can also change your last name, spell a different way, and I learned to do that. Thus, multiple personalities were developed upon each one of them. One of my multiple personalities was Jimmy McGee. I'm not a Jimmy and I'm not a McGee, but that was one of them. So when I finally had my final breakdown, I had to let go of that. I had to touch back with the emotional side of me. And that was the hardest part because each one of my personality did not want that to happen. But I had to have each one of my personalities retouch with their emotions. It's sort of like everything's getting blended back together the way it's supposed to be. I can go on and tell you lots of things about my life. What I can tell you that when I turned 54, I woke up. I had a chance to touch with my emotion, and that's with a very loving friend. Her name is Carla. Fictional name, but real enough for you to understand that I touched with Carla. She was real, and we had a full day of just talking, not holding hands or anything like that, just sharing emotion, breaking down and crying. Later on, I met a young woman. Her name is Candy. She lives in Tokyo, and we too connected emotionally because she broke down and cried, and I broke down and cried, and this became the norm for me to reconnect with my emotions. But does not mean that I was over my schizoaffecto or my emotional troubles, problems. I had a long road to go ahead, to get ahead, to even figure out what was going on with me. You see, emotional well being is a hard thing to do, especially when you're dealing with the multiple personalities like I have. Schizophrenic is just one part of an illness. Schizoaffecto is what happens to most people when they have just one personality. Imagine you have a many of them, and some of them are manic. Some of them are high anxiety. Some of them just plain out mean and angry. You just don't know which one you're going to be dealing with. But you need to adjust with each and every one of them. This is the trouble that I've had all my life. That just when I think I got a hold of it, another personality comes through and says, "No, you don't." Then I have to take time and deal with that one personality. If you look at my past videos, you'll see where I played different parts, different characters, different things in my life. That's part of the multiple personality disorder that I was going through. Each one of them are prevalent in each and everything that I say and do. Each one of them plays as real to me as anything else. Just know that's part of my emotional recovery, that I have to do this. And I call it recovery because you're constantly in that. Just like drug addicts, smokers, alcoholics, people that like to race, a lot of people like to drink coffee, do many different things can be called addictions. They have to learn to deal with them themselves. Because see, coming back to touching with reality is a hard thing to do with emotional personality. Schizophrenic is just one part of each one of it. I call myself an ambassador for emotional wellness, and I do that because it centers and brings me back to the reality that I'm in. That's what schizophrenics do and schizoaffective have. They have to come back to that touch of reality in order to have a happy and sustainable life. Sometimes not always happy, but it is sustainable. It's a little tool that they use to bring themselves back to normal. Mine used to be wall. Let me explain that. Sometimes when I get lost in myself, I have to take and refocus my vision to just the walls around me. Let me know where I'm at, what's going on, and I don't need to worry. I don't need to be afraid. The wall is there, it's real, it's tangible, and I can touch it and feel it. Can you touch it and feel it too? The times that you needed tools to help you do something, you use those. In peer support, we're taught to use tools to help make ourselves better. Now imagine one of those multiple personalities, never been to peer support, never had the training like I've had, or the education, sitting in on being auditor in many psychologist classes. I've had a rough life, but I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. Everything's kind of messing up here, and I'm going to bring things down, and I'm going to end it because this air conditioner